Hi guys, and welcome to this three-part video series on Typography Assessment 2, the type flashcards. Typography Assessment 2 is due in week 5. This three-part video series will cover the following points. In part A, we will look at an overview of the assessment brief. Part B, we will look at some of the major type classifications in greater detail. And part C, we will look at how to use the supplied template. So the first thing you'll need to do if you haven't done so already is download the Assessment2 brief, which you can find in the assessment area. The Assessment2 brief looks just like this, and it's really important that you read the brief in full so that you're really clear as to what's required for this task. You will find that this assessment task also has deliverables supplied, so before you upload your submission, please make sure that you tick off each of these boxes to ensure that you've covered all the right deliverable criteria for this assessment. Okay, so for Typography Assessment 2, you're asked to create a series of 10 type flashcards. Each flashcard has a front and a back to it, and it's to be distributed to visitors of the What's Your Type exhibition at the Powerhouse Museum. For this task, you're required to use the supplied Adobe Illustrator file in the assessment area. See Assessment2 resources. So once you're in the assessment area and you've clicked on Assessment2, you can clearly see there is your Assessment2 resources. You are required to source and photograph 10 different type classifications in your local environment. Now that could be areas such as a local shopping area, a mall, it could be an industrial area which has lots of signage, just as long as it's outside and not around your home. Make sure that you do head outdoors and find somewhere where there's lots of type so that you're exploring type in your local environment. The 10 type classifications which you are tasked to research and photograph are as follows. So we have serif, sans serif, slab serif, script, ornamental, black letter, display, heavyweight, lightweight, and caps. In part B of this video series, we will be reviewing some of these major classifications in greater detail. So this is what the front of the flashcards will look like. So we have a photograph of some kind of a sign here. We can clearly see the type. The size of the photograph of the postcards, are already predetermined, and each of the postcards will include this blue banner with the question, what type category is this question mark. This will remain on every single front of the postcards. So what you're tasked to do is to simply photograph, identify each of the classifications, photograph them, and then place your photographic example in this area here. So this particular one is an example of a serif typeface. You can clearly see the serifs here. This one here is a serif, but it's a slab serif because this is obvious by the very large, thick rectangular serifs on the end of these letter forms. And this one is quite obviously a script typeface. So that's just 3 examples of the fronts of postcards. So on the reverse of each card, you are required to write a brief description for each classification in your own words. This description must explain the main characteristics of that style of type and what it is suitable for. You will also need to list at least 2 popular font families for that type classification. So here's an example of a back of a card. This one is one that's been supplied to you, and it reads, the heading is, this typeface is sans serif. So when used in typography, a sans serif typeface is one that does not have the small projecting lines or cuffs called serifs at the end of strokes. Sans is a French term meaning without. Sans serif fonts are accepted widely now in print and on screen for both reading text and headings due to its clean presentation in large blocks of text and in large font size. Popular sans serif font families include Helvetica and Gotham. So the backs of the cards will remain as they are. You will just need to change the type. You do not need to, and you're not required to change the font size of the fonts or the font styles. You are this A in the blue banner will stay as it is. That's giving the answer to the question that's posed on the front of each card, and this logo will remain where it is on each card so that they're all consistent. Please do remember that you will need to include at least 2 popular font families for each classification as well. So that brings us to the end of part A. In part B, we'll look a little bit closer at some type classifications. Thank you.